there, and it should be a fantastic matchup.
Now, I might cut you off there because the players are just jumping in for the knife round, but we haven't missed any action for you. I was curious. I wanted to pick your brains now in the limited time that we do have about the mentality of Legacy at the moment. Obviously, they've just gone overseas. They've played in the DreamHack Masters Malmo Asian qualifier. They finished 5th to 8th, ultimately losing to Vici Gaming Cyberzen in the quarterfinals at the time. Probably not what they were expecting, I think it's fair to say, but you were over there with the guys at their boot camp in Singapore. What's the mindset like at the moment for them?
Very positive. They were pretty happy with the result. They obviously wanted to pick up that first match on Dust 2. They were a little bit shaken by letting that one slip through the cracks. They thought we all thought we played well enough to win that game, and we really wanted it to push to just get that confidence. We didn't necessarily ever think they could win on Overpass against Cyberzen. That was always going to be a very, very hard matchup. But ultimately, they played well, and they came back with a lot of confidence, and more importantly, a lot of ideas about where they wanted to go as a team. There was a lot of discussion, when you're in that environment where it's like a pressure cooker, you're staying with each other for a few days, you really get sort of into the nitty-gritty of the strategy and what needs to happen. So, really excited to see how they shape up.
Yeah, it should be great. I mean, as the match now goes live, this is the first map. This is Overpass, and we'll see Chiefs study out on the terrace side here. And Pete, it looks like they're set for some angels. 7 players with armor in the server at the moment.
Yeah, 7 players with that armor, but interestingly enough, the 2 smokes here for the Chiefs players on Burn and Destiny, I believe. But Destiny has gone down. APOC with the double headshot there on the middle push, and now Chiefs are going to be forced back into the B side, and they're going to have a few members of Legacy waiting for them there, but as it stands, Lightstep just spotting out that A-bomb site now. Top Gun does see one now. The smoke goes up from Destiny, so a 4 versus 3 here, Nick, and Chiefs in a decent position to take this one out at the moment.
Well, they've put the bomb down, but you can see at the moment the CTs, they're all jumping on each other's heads trying to get that spot into the side and catch the terrorists off guard in that post-plan situation. But as it's now gone down, it means the timer has been placed on around 40 seconds left. And I like this. I like the fact that actually Havoc at the moment is coming from the flank, just straight in that other angle of attack. And whilst he hasn't got the frag, it's drawing the attention away from Chris O'Well, at least temporarily. He has got one there, so it's down to a 2 versus 3. The defuse coming in here.
Yeah, the defuse will come in, swindling away there, but Top Gun has managed to find the head of Mungo, and that will be the start the Legacy wanted. Beautiful retake pistol. They're nice and patient from Legacy, and they pick up the first round.
I'm not actually sure what went wrong there in the sense that Chiefs, I don't think they're actually aware of the fact that the bomb was actually getting defused at that time. They still had, 2 members left alive at the time in which the bomb was defused. I mean, I know that Havoc drew their attention away, but some miscommunication there. Ultimately, it's meant that they are on the back foot now on what was their map choice Overpass here, and they've actually invested in the second round just into some light pistols, perhaps trying to set themselves up well for that 3rd round buy. And Legacy playing really, really passively here, just trying to shore up both sides. They've got 3 at B, 2 at A, and trying to keep their distance, maximise perhaps the strong rifles with which they've invested. Quite a conservative approach here, only 1 SMG.
Well, the curse that followed this old Chiefs team with me in it, where we couldn't really win anti-ecos, has followed the Legacy boys, unfortunately, and we worked a lot on that one in Singapore, trying to make sure that the anti-ecos was sturdy, and we actually went through a lot of discussion where Lightstep was content with the 4 rifle setup, and he maintained that as long as the distance was kept and the teamwork was good, they really wanted to minimize the use of those SMGs in the second round, and that's the way they want to set up from now on. So Legacy there with only the 1 SMG on Top Gun, everyone else with a rifle, and you can see how passively they're holding here, Nick.
Yeah, they have managed to spot out a few members now, and Lightstep actually just laying down and ancillary smoke there just to try and block off the vision of the terrorists. But Havoc's in a lot of trouble here if he's not careful, and he's taken down, and the CTs haven't yet retaliated, and that distance that we spoke of, nullified there by the terrorists, due to, I guess, the CT's own smokes in that instance. But as it is, order has been restored, and APOC using all 30 bullets in that M4, eventually finishing off Destiny and 2-0. But Chiefs there, for a small moment, they would have been slightly happy with the position that they found themselves in, able to get that close.
Yeah, definitely, and with the likes of APOC and Havoc and I guess Offnu recently, he's been in fantastic form. Those guys can really pack a punch with those rifles late in the round, coming back into the site after the utility has been used from the terrorists. So they focus there on more or less letting them get in and potentially getting a plant, but they managed to stop that one. But it won't stop Chiefs from grabbing all AKs and smoke grenades here, and they're setting up nicely. Just in T-spawn, pretty aware of the action that's going on at the moment. They are pretty content holding back, letting Legacy make the first move, but they've brought a passive playstyle to the start of this game, Legacy, and it looks as though they're eagerly awaiting Chiefs to try and make that opening pick and capitalize on it later.
At the moment, though, they might just have to bide their time a little bit longer because Chiefs have barely left T-spawn as it is now. I think Dexter is directing his forces to move up through 8th Mountain and just clear out the party. But this double stack from from Legacy, I should say, still persisting in the stairwell, and they might manage to catch one off guard here as Dexter might venture his way down the stairs, hoping to clear it out, and does put out the bottom end. But great break there, actually. Knows Apoc's there, can't get the retaliation though onto him, so Apoc now dancing between two different firefights. Offnu coming to his rescue.
Yeah, brilliant trade there by Destiny at A, though, which has opened it up slightly for Chiefs. Whilst they've lost that tunnels battle underneath, they've been able to force their way onto A and now get a plant. So brilliant work there by Destiny, but now it's a 3 versus 3, and Top Gun's in a prime position here. He takes out Destiny. Will he find a second? He doesn't. Chriso, wow. The Mr. Ice, Mr. Cool there, picking up a kill onto Top Gun. Now it's a 2 versus 2, and look at this play here by Chriso. Brilliant swindling in the smoke there. He's opened it up, and now Offnu doesn't know where the last is. He does. He turns around. Offnu picking up the double there, and Legacy get out of jail free card there as he picks up the double and wins the 3rd round.
Yeah, it's hard to be critical knowing that there was so much smoke and confusion around Chrisowell, but actually started shooting too early there, just trying to pre-fire the smoke to perhaps get a few shots connecting onto the body of one of the Legacy members. But as a result, it meant that after he connected with the first duel, it didn't have any ammo left as he rotated his crosshair back towards Offnu, and he was punished as a result by the experienced, well-travelled New Zealander. And Legacy now sure up that solid start to this match, 3-0.
Yeah, it is a pretty solid start here for Legacy, and I particularly like the way they've closed in on that 3rd round. They have a tendency to lose momentum early on in the game and be a very slow starting team, which is, I guess, a characteristic of being a new team, sort of working it through game by game, but every time they win that first gun round, it makes them a little bit stronger and more sure of themselves. And Chiefs with the pistol buy here, just looking to force the issue onto A.
Yeah, well, Mungo actually on the lurk there. Found one frag. He actually spots the second as well. So if Lifestead's not careful, he will go down, and Mungo doubles up. So great work there on the lurk, causing that distraction, just slowing down Legacy from being able to rotate back to help their teammates towards A side, which is certainly where the bomb is headed at the moment. Havoc actually laying down that smoke, which is forcing Dexter and Co to retreat, and perhaps Mungo just making sure that no one else has pushed. But they should be able to actually recover these guns in the stairwell. I'd be surprised if both Dexter and Chriso didn't go back to join Mungo, knowing that 2 guns had been dropped in that region. But for the time being, Mungo content to pick up one for himself and leave his teammates with just pistols. Strange for me.
I think it is strange, but I think they ultimately want to go back towards A, and now I think Chris has finally made the call, and he's going to make his way potentially back towards that rifle. As the call comes out from Mungo, there's a secondary weapon in this stairwell that's free to grab, but the problem here for Chiefs is they've got no resources. It's going to be a very telegraphed hit. It's going to have to be just a lot of walking in and making of shots, but Legacy have all the advantages here as it looks as though Top Gun's managed to swindle slightly to the left here, and Offnu's been spotted out, but Top Gun's in a prime position. He will take them one. My apologies, it's Havoc. He gets a double before Dexter can reply, but Havoc there, nice positioning midway through the round. You actually saw him rotate to that position and cut off the Chiefs' attack where it started.
Yeah, from my experience as well, I really like the fact that you talked about Legacy getting off to a strong start here. One of the reasons, in my opinion, that they're normally so dangerous when they do get off to a strong start is not necessarily the fact that they're leading, but the fact that it generally tends to make them a lot more confident and they play a lot more aggressive, which in my opinion is when they're at their best. And with these sort of players, that can always be a formidable sort of opponent when you know that they have that tendency to push and back themselves to win those duels. So Legacy looking strong at the moment. That AWP in Dexter's hands though, actually taking it slowly towards A, but no aggression this round to speak of from Havoc and Co. He's holding back a little bit at the moment. Perhaps Chiefs might need to find that opening elsewhere.
Chiefs are looking, I mean, they have lost a lot of rounds, but they've all been close so far. So all 4 rounds, even the Ecos, have ended up pretty tight. Even though Legacy are going to take a 4-0 lead into the start of this one, all hope will not be lost here, but Havoc will push out before Dexter replies there with the AWP. So nice trading there from the star player from the Chiefs roster. I think that he's pretty much the future of Chiefs, along with a couple of other youngsters in there. So a lot of faith being put in Dexter, and he's delivering a great young talent, and that AWP's firing early.
Yeah, doing a good job actually of connecting through the wall. He's not to know that, but tagging down Offnu as well. So it's actually put that pressure on the B side, and it's caused Apoc to actually switch sites with Offnu in that instance, and just try and help Top Gun at that sites. But at the moment, Chiefs just biding their time, heading back towards A. I like this call, and being very patient. That's something that sometimes we're critical of new in-game leaders. But Dexter at the moment, perhaps showing experience beyond his years as he's leading his troops up towards the A side. A 2-2 split, 2 at long and 2 at mid, and doing a good job of closing the distance here on Lightstep and Co.
Yeah, but it will be Lightstep to defend this one by himself. Now the smokes and the flashes will come in pretty quickly here from Chiefs. They're going to scoot into this bomb site behind the cover of Molotov. I think Dexter actually spotted out Light Step there, but the Molotov prevented him from being spotted. That's all the opportunity he needed. Rips the head off Light Step, and now Chiefs roll into this A bomb site. And it's all going to be about this retake here. Although the Molotovs have been good from Legacy, they've been boarded out of this site here by these smokes, and that was a really clean execution here by Chiefs. And they just need to hold on to this one for a little while longer. Destiny and Burn pick one up, but Top Gun there picking up a double. Now to 2 versus 1. No idea how he manages to pick up 2 in that situation, but you'd think this should be all she wrote here for Top Gun as he tries to win this 2 versus 1, but neither of the Chiefs players picking in any particular fashion. He's been spotted out now, and Top Gun will move away from that bomb. Really, really clean execution there from Chiefs. I liked the pace, Nick, and I also liked mid-round you called. You'd love to switch up back to A. It was a good read.
Yeah, really good read. I guess it just showed the composure for me. And normally that's something that's one of the first things to go when you find your team on the losing end of rounds. Like we said, it was 4-0 at that point. But they still had the peace of mind to recognise they got that trade that inflicted some more damage onto some other members at that B site, but still fell back and backed themselves to be able to overwhelm the A site by force, which I really liked from them. We actually see now, due to that damage that you were talking about earlier on, when Legacy were winning, but in a very close fashion, it's meant that they have bought into this round, but 3 of them had pistols, so that flow-on effect's really coming to fruition now.
Definitely, but Destiny and Co will try and take the underpass area. Look at this spam coming out from Top Gun. He's picked up a double through the wooden wall. Oh my goodness, Top Gun, Dexter and Destiny fall immediately. Havoc picks up the AWP, and he's reeking just that. He's picked up a double too. Top Gun, what a random start to the round, but fantastic prediction there. He picks up the 2 kills, opens it up, and just like that, Chiefs go down 5-1. What an explosive round there from Legacy.
Well, he hasn't been playing Counter-Strike, I guess, entirely for the past 2 years. Took a big break there for about 12 to 18 months, but his game sense, it's clearly come back to him quite quickly there as he connected with the double, and you got very excited, and for good reason. It was a sick mowdown, even though Chiefs are on eco. It's still going to be quite demoralising to be killed before you even have an opportunity to spot your enemies. Havoc does you a nice frag on to Burn again. This is another round in which Chiefs are struggling with their economy, actually moving up long quite quickly at the moment. And the trades coming in, APOC doing a good job.
Yeah, great stuff here by Epoch, but danger signs here for Chiefs as Havoc really gets that aggressive AWP on, and they're at their best when he does just that. But I want to just take you back to that Top Gun round for a minute. So many rounds as casters and as spectators and as fans of the game, you see that opportunity line up where you think a player's just going to go ham with the spam, and they do like 20 damage to one player, and you're like, oh, the spam didn't really work out, but it was online. That time, every single bullet hit through that wooden wall, and Top Gun got an instant double, so great play there from him. And once again, Chiefs buying into that last round, which means they bought into this round as well. And look at Lightstep forcing the pace here in long A, Nick.
Yeah, I really like that aggression from him. He's actually seeking in for Mungo again. He's proving such a menace with that Tech 9 in hand, but I was just going to say, I love this from a Legacy perspective. When they're overseas just recently in Singapore, their CT side of Overpass was the side that struggled the most, especially against the Vici Gaming team, but they'll be really happy with this start. They're finding the frags. APOC, they're catching one member, Destiny, off guard there on that off angle near toilet. So everything going their way at the moment, bar one little misplay earlier on in the half, but at the moment they'll go for this retake, a 4-on-2. Dexter has found one, and Burn might catch them off guard. Actually takes that Top Gun there, so down to a 2 versus 2. Lightstep needs to make something happen here.
Yeah, and he will. He should find that headshot. He does. Takes down Dexter, and now it's a 2 versus 1 situation, but Burn will get taken down almost immediately there by the quick-firing AWP of Havoc. Legacy rack up their 7th round, and I mean, Chiefs have been so close in every round just about, but yet there's down so far, Nick. As a ex-in-game leader and motivator of the troops, what exactly do you say to get Chiefs out of this hole if you're Dexter?
Well, it's difficult, I guess, in the sense that the team is still quite young and still maturing, very much so. We know that Dexter's only been an in-game leader for probably about a month to 2 months now, but I think at this point, at least in the current Chiefs team, I should say, at least at this point though, I'd just be trying to just get everyone to calm down. I don't think there's any real need to panic or call a pause or whatnot. They're still certainly playing quite well, and I've liked the fact that they are making the frags, but at the moment, perhaps just losing their nerve at the last second. I do like the fact that they're persisting with that AWP in Dexter's hand. He's actually taking it towards long A at the moment. But what really worries me is that aggression that we're seeing from Legacy. Like we said, when they're playing very aggressive and confident, regardless of which player it is in the team, you'd almost always have to back themselves. That was what went missing when they were overseas recently at DreamHack, where perhaps when they started to lose a few rounds, recognising they're up against some really strong individuals, that style of play with which they've made their own sort of disappeared, but looking really strong here tonight.
Yeah, and I guess it's a bit of a biased position a little bit, as I'm currently the Legacy coach and was over in Singapore with them. We did discuss that a lot, and the timing and exactly when and where was the right amount of pushing for this particular roster. It's different for every team, and how much you can get away with depending on your players, but I think they've found a happy medium in this particular match as Snakewhale gets caught out of position. He'll pick up one, but not before APOC will trade, and now it'll be pretty much open season here for APOC, who picks up a second one. Dexter trading nicely, but it'll be all to do here for Dexter as he gets taken down as well, and now Wow, the Iceman is left in an untenable situation there. He gets taken down. 8-1 Legacy, and that was what started off as a good hit for Chiefs. That was very telegraphed by the end. They had no B presence, and as such, Legacy found out pretty quickly where the attack was coming from.
That's right. You saw actually how fast that rotation was, wasn't it? When Often was able to just stall for time at long, and it meant that those members from B came streaming up the stairs and from Bank, and did a great job of just pincering them at the side. And like you said, never really had an opening onto that A side. They will now force to save some pistols and save some cash here as Chiefs stream towards this B side and perhaps have a nade or two to try and ease their passage into it. But the CT's actually playing really, really passively here. Often would try actually going for a double stack here, just trying to get some spot, some leverage into the side, I should say. At the moment, it's really Top Gun. After that bomb's been planted, who's dealing the most damage. He has found two. Can he get a 30? Should he? Eventually does. And that will be another round going Legacy's way.
Yeah, and I think the difficult part here for Chiefs is what potentially at the beginning of last week, a lot of people would have looked at as a really even sort of matchup coming through with two new teams, both performing really well, being 3-0. That I guess the experience in Singapore and the concentration of CS played in the last 3 or 4 days for Legacy is very, very high. So they've slipped back into what looks like just 3rd or 4th gear here, and they're making pretty easy work of these rounds towards the back half of this half, and it's going to be on Chiefs to try and change up the pace and get something going. I'm looking at Dexter with that AWP and seeing what he can do as he opened up a couple of rounds earlier on for Chiefs, the only round that they won, and he's going to have to do a little bit more heavy lifting here for his team.
It also surprises me to see some of the passive play coming out from Chiefs. That's certainly, as an example, not the style that Destiny is normally too familiar with. He's normally the sort of player that you let off a leash and trust that he'll be able to find those frags and open up bomb sites, but at the moment, almost the restraining leash has been placed on all 4 members. Dexter, the in-game leader, controlling his team's whereabouts. And with Legacy not pushing in this round, it really means that they waste a lot of time and perhaps then telegraph their attack later on. It's all fine and well and good when Legacy are willing to take those early duels, but when Chiefs play back this passively, this plays into the CT team's hands. There's often they're actually pushing through and catching Mungo off guard. So now recognising perhaps some of the tendencies from Chiefs coming out here. Great play here from Legacy.
Yeah, but look what they've done by clearing that area. Often knows there's nothing at short and nothing at long. This is going to be a complete A hit here from Chiefs, and they're going to do very well to try and make their way in. But Wow opening up nicely there onto APOC. Now they have to make this work pretty quickly here, Chiefs. They can't wait for too much longer, but Dexter picks up that kill onto Havoc over the top of the crate, and now all of a sudden this is going to be an A attack, but I said all of a sudden, but almost in a satirical sense, this is taking forever for Chiefs to actually get onto this bomb site and make it work. All 3 members of Legacy have found their way back towards this side, and it's just taking so long. Top Gun Lightstep, the 1-2 punch there. Burnrook and Destiny go down, and Lightstep dancing through the flames, and look at this positioning here. Brilliant work there by Lightstep, but the round has gone completely begging here for Chiefs, just taking way too long to get in, and they're actually going to be timed out. But Lightstep, what an impressive ability to stay alive, picks up the treble. And that was more about what Chiefs didn't do, Nick.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that at the end there, because I know that Lightstep did stay alive, but dearie me, that was a 4-on-2 situation there at the A side. I know Often was also alive, but he was over at B. He was almost inconsequential as that round started to play out there. But like you said, they were almost too preoccupied with trying to throw all their smokes, all their flashes, all their molotovs, that in the end they forgot the most important bit, which is to actually get into the site. In the end, Chiefs just being picked apart one by one, and up until that point, I'd really been watching it going, look, Chiefs aren't doing that badly. I think Legacy are really playing well, but Chiefs really imploded on that A take there as they didn't get into the side, and ultimately, Legacy will be smiling assassins in that instance.
Yeah, but look at the scoreboard here for Legacy, Nick. I mean, look at the balance. All players double digits, the highest frag at 12, APOC the lowest. I mean, everyone else is on 10, so that's indicative of no matter what Chiefs have done, Legacy have an answer at that particular spot. There's no spot that's been weakened because every player on the roster is fragging well, and for me, Mungo, I think, has 4 Tech 9 kills. Entering short/B. So for me, he's done a great job of opening that area of the map. I think that if they got maybe a Tech 9 or an AK into his hands and force something off that pick, they could make something work at B.
The issue that I struggle with, though, when I look at the Chiefs roster, is that I'm not sure they're playing to their strengths at the moment. I think when you look at players such as Destiny, such as Burn, such as Chris O'Ware as well, they're very explosive players, it's fair to say. They can obviously fill a lot of roles, very versatile with a lot of different weapons, but they're high-impact explosive players that like to see a lot of action. But at the moment, they're playing so passively, at least that's the structure and the gameplay that they're coming out with, that we haven't even really called their name at all, apart from the fact that they've been dying. I'd really like to see them unleashed a little bit. Maybe the fact that they're down so much now might almost free them up a little bit in their gameplay. Might be able to see some high-impact frags and give them some life in this match as they make their way towards A. A little bit more angst and tempo there, but as soon as that smoke gets laid down, they've stopped moving all of a sudden. They're just jumping up and down like little frogs.
Yeah, and Havoc will pick apart those frogs' legs as he gets a double kill there through the little gap that's left, but Chris O'Ware opening it up finally for Chiefs here, picking up a double actually. Havoc caught out of position. Now this is a round that Chiefs desperately need to win off the back of that timeout. Nick, I didn't see anything really different there though from Chiefs. They, as you said, they started aggressive and then all of a sudden they just slowed down and killed the pace.
I think the intent was there though. I think they perhaps just got a little bit scared off by the fact that there was that early sign of presence from the CTs. With that smoke, I think even Havoc might have shot perhaps an AWP bullet or two, which might have scared them down, but it certainly looked as though there was more intent because at least all 5 members came out of spawn running in the same direction. I'm just wondering at the moment, so the score's currently 10-1, we see both Chriso and Burn making their way up mid. Will be defended there by, it looks as though it's APOC, and just APOC at the moment, but Ofnu in a strong position here to rotate quickly if required, but I'm just wondering here how Chiefs bounce back from this. It's all of a sudden got very, very much out of hand, and let's not forget this was their map choice, so I think they'll be a little bit demoralised at the moment. They're just trying to sell a bit of an A fake and bolting back towards the B side at the moment, but Top Gun, he's lying in wait.
Yeah, it's gonna, you're gonna have to do a lot more than that to get Top Gun to rotate. Notorious for sitting in one spot and dealing a lot of damage there, but he won't even get the opportunity. Often up from balcony, takes both terrorists down. It's 11-1 to Legacy eSports at the moment, and Chiefs looking a little shaky, I must admit. And for me, I know exactly how much talent is in this roster. I never really questioned the talent of the new team. I was interested to see how the player roles would be managed, because for me they have a lot of the same player in the team. Burn is very similar to Chriso, he's very similar to Mungo, he's very similar to your Destiny type, a lot of frag heavy players that need a lot of support in what they do. So it's going to have to be something that they sort out. The talent is definitely on their roster for them to do big things. At the moment, they're just struggling, but it will be them trying to find their way into A. Ofnu says no dice and gets that spam down, picks up a double through the smoke, and 2 remaining players of the Chiefs team will get taken down eventually.
One through that smoke,
this is exactly, Nick, this is exactly what I was talking about before when I said there's so many times we see those players spray through the smoke or wood and get nothing. But now Destiny, he's in a 3 versus 1, Nick, and it's going to have to be a long way uphill for him here.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got the bomb, but he's also made his presence known. They're shooting that AK at long, so you can see at the moment Havoc just sprinting, knowing that the mid-connector will be clear, just trying to perhaps cut off that rotation from Destiny, stopping him getting back towards that B side and really trying to suffocate him in towards A at the moment. And 40 seconds left on the clock. You can see Legacy really in strong positions here. Often spotting up long, jumping up and down, so he's safe, but he'll get a lot of early information. And sometimes the term unwinnable is thrown around, Pete. You like to throw it around quite a lot, but this is quickly venturing into similar sort of territory here as Destiny does move his way up toilets. But Top Gun, just like last round, lying in wait, and
look at him.
It'll be only moments time.
Look at him. He's got no interest in moving. Look at him. He probably doesn't even have his hand on the keyboard at this point. There he goes. Doesn't even move. He's just holding his mouse. He's chill, calm, collected. He picks up the headshot with lovely, I would say, Top Gun-esque positioning. Just a nice, chill spot, and he gets it done.
I know quite often we've cast a lot of Australian Counter-Strike, a lot of Counter-Strike in general. A lot of the time when we see blowouts, sort of losses, it's just one team playing well, one team not playing well, what have you.
Yep.
But not often do we talk about the term embarrassing, because normally it's not really applicable. But when you're talking about 2 top-tier teams, such as Legacy and Chiefs, and a potential blowout here now, does that start to become a factor, do you think? Is this potentially an embarrassing loss for Chiefs?
I think as Destiny does get a double there at long, so this round might just open up. I'll come back to that very quickly, Nick, as now Chiefs will look like they're on the board here, but look at the information that Legacy have once again. Even though they're outnumbered here, they have a pretty decent read on the action. Go back to your question. I think that if you're looking at a table of the results in CG, you'd think this was a close game. But if you read into, I guess, who's on which team and what you expected, I don't think that this is in the embarrassing section, because for me, Legacy were always considered definitely a step above Chiefs in terms of what I see on paper. A lot more proven talent on this roster compared to that of Chiefs. But I think in 3 to 5 months, if Chiefs stick with it, they can be there. It's just that not right now with the level of experience that Legacy has. And now it's a 2 versus 2, and they really need this one to get on the board.
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, they've just scrolled right by Havoc. But oh my goodness, he's missed the shot in the back. Thank goodness he recovers, because I was about to have a brain hemorrhage there in that instance. He has taken down Burn, and Mungo left alive. Havoc knows where he is and misses that shot. But Top Gun, he actually has rotated from B this round and found another little box to hide behind.
Look at him.
Fantastic at this at the moment. Mungo actually perhaps suspicious of the fact, but whips his smoke grenade a little bit. Can't quite connect there onto Top Gun's head either. And eventually the old Vox Seminole duo did win out in that instance, 13-1. Thank God Havoc made that second shot though onto the back of that player.
Yeah, and you see how calm Top Gun was walking to the side there through that smoke, just easing his way into position and making sure he closing out. But this was
time to rotate. You know, I'll gently make my way towards the A-bomb side.
And Nick, as I guess we've both had in-game leading experience in the past, for me, I think that Chiefs are not necessarily employing the wrong style, but they do need a more aggressive part of their play. There is time for this semi-aggressive stuff, and look at, this is what we've been missing, Nick, this unbridled aggression where these individually talented players can pop up out of the box and change the outcome of rounds by themselves. This is what the game's been missing here for Chiefs, and lovely, and I don't know why it's taken to the last round and a half for them to get to this level of aggression.
Well, I don't know, but surely the recipe now for success on future maps will certainly send in Destiny first. He's ripped off 2 heads there. They will now move on towards his B side again. Top Gun body has come over towards the barrels at the moment. Off to actually grab one, but Top Gun steps out. Gets one, but unfortunately, that'll have to do for his account for this round, as the last 3 remaining members of Chiefs do overwhelm him. But 13-2, what an impressive showing from Legacy there.
Impressive showing from Legacy, definitely. They seem to have their crosshairs locked and loaded for this evening's play. They very quickly got out to that 5-0 lead, and what was impressive for me was even though those rounds were close, they still managed to stay on target the entire game. And that really crucial round, remember that force buy, it was 4-0 to Legacy, and then Top Gun gets that double through the wood when he's the only one with an M4 on that whole round. So that could have indeed changed the outcome of the whole game in the end of it. But right now, it's going to be all on Chiefs ESC to try and take control of the CT pistol and make something happen. You can see them pushing long here, but they have been spotted out by APOC, who does a lot of damage onto Chriso, where there he feels the pain of the APOC 90-degree flick and shoot. And now the game will be slowed back down, but Chriso hasn't given up yet. He picks up 1, and this should be opening up here for Legacy, and it does. Top Gun and Lightstep pick up 1 and 2, and it's all on Chiefs now, Nick, in this 3 versus 4.
Yeah, but Havoc at the moment, he was just standing at the B side, and if Chiefs aren't careful, they might over-rotate, but actually they end up walking straight into Destiny's crosshair, and they're probably 2 of the easy frags, which he's had tonight. It has been a little bit of a struggle, but as they walk back in a nice little line there, he takes them both down and swings this round back again in Chiefs' favour here, as they are on a 3 versus 2. Destiny spotting out Havoc there on that rotation towards A. They have actually recovered the bomb and will bolt back towards B. Mungo will beat them there though, and perhaps a battle is about to ensue.
Oh yeah, but he spotted him. He spotted out there and made himself known. And will this be the demise? I think it will be. He's managed to put himself in such a horrible position that Top Gun easily takes him down now to 2 versus 2. And I think the advantage is Legacy here. Oh my goodness, it's going to be Destiny pushing through that smoke and taking down the bomb planter. So 33 seconds left. Burn and Destiny left in a 2 versus 1 against Havoc, and he's not going to be able to do it. So Mungo, a crucial mistake. They're not punished. Fortunately for him, Chiefs able to win that pistol, and Legacy with definitely still a strong position here, but at least Chiefs are back on the board and can have the opportunity to get a few gun rounds in.
Yeah, I think actually, back in hindsight, Havoc might be perhaps kicking himself that when he was lurking towards B and his teammates got those frags at long A, that he didn't commit with that B lurk and try and push through and gain some map territory for his team. Ultimately, he decided to double back, and we saw how it played out as some of the Legacy members were mowed down by Destiny, but it meant that Havoc had lost that early B position, had to double back again later on in the round. But nonetheless, Legacy here investing into strong pistols. There are plenty of rounds to play with, but I'm not counting them out of this round just yet, because we've seen some players in particular, such as Offnu, such as APOC, that can be a very, very dangerous prospect on these force buy situations. As Lights said, they're just lining up a smoke for heaven. They will now execute onto the side.
Yeah, and this is going to be a timed push here, but Burn is all over this one. The smokes and flashes are good. Burn will just cream them all as he dances around that bomb site. But it's pretty much an uphill battle here, but look at Top Gun just crushing with that one bullet. And he's got a decent position here. They need to be careful here, Chiefs. They can't give him too much room to operate, but Burn there with a nice timing on his pick. They lose 3 guns there, which will definitely hurt their economy, but Legacy will have to eco this one and save up for the next round where they will try and get the AKs up.
Look at the utility on Chris though. I might just point out, normally I don't make such a note of that, but 3rd round, HE, flash, smoke, and a kit. That is a man well prepared given that he only has a UMP, but nonetheless, perhaps it might be an easier task given that Legacy actually opting to fully eco into this round, trying to shore up their economy. So 5 Glocks, actually opting to split up, so it's not so much a Glock train as 5 pedestrians at the moment just making their way towards either bomb side, and only a matter of time, you can't help but feel. But moving forward from this, I'm really curious to see what sort of approach Chiefs do take on their first gun round, as to whether they do get an AWP into Dexter's hands or perhaps actually go for the 5 rifle setup. It's been interesting. We've actually seen Dexter from time to time opt to pick up that AWP. I certainly think it does add a nice dimension to the team, especially, Pete, when you're talking about the fact that some of their players perhaps have similar identities within a server and feel very much the same role. I do like having that AWP in Dexter's hands. So we'll see how that goes as Chiefs do clean up this round.
Yeah, I was surprised to see there Chris O'Well. He had a SMG, but also a Tech 9, and Mungo bought an SMG, so it would have been interesting to see if he could have just dropped that Tech 9 across and saved Mungo having to buy that weapon again in the second round. But nevertheless, Chiefs make it work, and now Legacy will finally have the utility they need to set up their first attempt at a gun round. And I guess the penalty for losing all those guns if you're Chiefs in the second round of the affair is now they've stuck with 2 FAMASs and SMG against full AKs. And look at the push here from Chiefs. Great stuff there by Chris O'Ware picking up APOC, and that's exactly the sort of aggression they need to be displaying to pick up an early kill. Set the tempo of the game.
I love the response though. I love the fact that Chris and Dexter have now just fallen back to the A site instead of pushing through and trying to perhaps double up or bloodlusting. I like the fact they're playing that patient game, recognising they're now got the man advantage. No need to be aggressive. They can just throw up the site defenses now. But meanwhile, Legacy just still trying to clear out that part of the map. Lightstep doesn't recognise, perhaps suspects they've fallen back, but still needs to make absolutely sure before he relays that information to his team, which he's now doing. At the moment, the bomb though, still lurking around the B site, often with it in his backpack. Havoc's still there towards sandbags as well, so the B defenders, they might be the ones to spot out some action here, despite the fact that Top Gun and Co are moving up towards A.
Yeah, I like this play here from Legacy. They're going to sell this A hit pretty well as Snakewell gets spotted out at long, and now the gun battle between Chris O'Well and Top Gun will take place, and Top Gun will win that one. So, bit of action here coming towards the A side of things, but as we can see, the bomb is now coming back towards A, so they've sort of sold the mini fake, and Ofnu looked to pick up that kill onto Dexter, but the FAMAS lock is on. Therefore, the Chiefs player, he takes down Ofnu straight away, and he'll get caught off guard though by Havoc as now Legacy push in, and Havoc has an opportunity here to find a couple of kills really easily, and he does. Over peaking here, look at the Chiefs players, but Burn will make that work in the end. He will pick up a double, and whilst it seemed convincing, I'm just not so sure of that late round aggression by Chiefs, though I love the pace they set early. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's where they won the round, to be honest. That round was all done and dusted for me. As soon as Dexter and Chris got that frag and fell back from long, I really like that smart decision making. I think it probably helps that the IGL was one of the 2 members that are actually pushing long very early on, so he would have certainly had that game sense and awareness to recognise the right play in that instance. As they do go aggressive again to start off this round, they found another early frag for themselves, so things somehow seeming to fall apart for Legacy as Chiefs now making a little bit of a run of things. Destiny actually looking to get a few more to the tally, but whipping a few shots.
Yeah, but Nick, this is exactly the kind of gameplay that would have suited them on T side. The individual pushes, this one-way smokes, Destiny getting aggressive by himself, making plays, Dexter making plays, doing aggressive pushing. I have no idea why they've played the first half so passively and decided to change their play style up. And it's a real mature step for me. It's a real sign of maturity that, hey, we can go down 12-3 in a half or 13-2 in a half and still look like we can be competitive in the second half because we trust the way that we play the game in the second half. Whilst they didn't really make any adjustments in the first half to fix it, and that's a problem, I do like their mentality in the second half, though.
No, I agree with that, but I think, as you're saying, it's a sign of maturity in the second half. The first half, for me, is a sign of immaturity, the fact that they didn't make those adjustments that you speak of. But obviously learning to do is, again, they find another frag off the back of some aggression here. So Dexter is doing a fantastic job at the moment of making sure that his teammates are in good positions to get the opening frag. That's the last 3 rounds, at the very least, that we've seen them do just that. And Legacy seemingly have to come from behind in every sort of encounter at the moment. Lightstep has recovered that AWP off Havoc's body and taking it towards toilets here. But again, there's no one to be found here as they have backed off towards the A site This is much better from them. I just wish we'd seen this a little bit earlier on the T-half, as you suggested.
Yeah, but I guess the difference for me between the Legacy hold and the Chiefs hold right now is that someone from Chiefs needs to be pressuring the B side of things, finding out if they're actually in long or short, in monster area or in that short water. We see so many times Ofnu took control of that zone and really opened it up, and now you can see the lack of rotations coming in here is going to maybe hurt them, because Chris O'Wow's picked up one, but he's in the scope of Lightstep, who picks up a great kill there, and now they're going to stream onto A, and the rotations will be late, and that's the lack of information at the B side of things that will hurt them, and it's all of a sudden a 2 versus 2 here for Mungo and Burn.
Yeah, and both members actually opting to rotate through the same direction, both coming from CT spawn. So I think once Legacy clued onto this fact, it might make their job a little bit easier there. Mungo does get tagged down to 66, but Ofnu temporarily blinded. His vision is obscured, but once he can see, he finds the header. Burn spots at the second on top of the box there, and he's done enough damage there perhaps to steer Mungo away, as with only 12 points of health, recognising that 1 versus 3 is probably not going to happen for him. He's running away, and the bomb rate is actually quite large on overpass, so he needs to do a good job here of getting away very, very quickly, otherwise he might lose that AK.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a save here for Mungo, but as I said, that was really put down to the fact that they didn't have any B control as Mungo gets Ofnu, which meant that they had the
He's on 1 HP from the bomb explosion.
But he's picked up APOC as well, so...
That is a man that knows his radius.
The bomb explosion merely tickled the back of his neck and burned his hairs down, singed him to 1 HP, but he will remain up with that AK and plenty...
That's the play of the night.
Could be the play of the night, and the AWP will come down here, but eagerly, it's not going on to Dexter, and we lament this a lot when watching in North American teams that like to swap the AWP around a lot. We're not a huge fan, Nick, because of the such a high investment with that weapon and the low kill reward. You really need to make sure that it's going to the right hands and someone who can consistently perform. I mean, not that Destiny's a bad AWP by any stretch of the imagination, but Dexter's been playing well. There's no reason to take that weapon away from him at this point.
I agree. I mean, I probably share those sentiments. I think that Chiefs will probably be a little bit disappointed when they look back just at that last round in isolation. Obviously, they're coming back from they've got a massive mountain to climb in the second half, but they were in a really strong position that round. They got that first frag. Again, I think it was Dexter who might have spotted out one member with the AWP and got that frag. Fell back to the site, which we liked, but again, you pointed out during the round, which I liked, the fact that they were still playing so passively at the B side, and ultimately it meant that as Legacy were able to make those trades by virtue of the fact that they had more numbers heading towards the A side, they were in a favourable position in a 3-on-2 ultimately once they had that bomb planted there. And I think that Chiefs, that was certainly a winnable round for them when they look back at it. Being in a 5 versus 4, I think the stat goes these days at something like 75% of the time when you get that first frag that you then go on to win the round. I think that Chiefs, they're the sort of situations when you're trying to mount a comeback that you really do need to close out.
Yeah, it's so hard finding the first pick in any situation, let alone when you're behind on the scoreboard so greatly and need every round to make it competitive. But to be fair, we were talking about the realms of, well, you certainly were talking about the realms of embarrassment and, really not showing up at all before. We can safely say now that Chiefs have shown up in this game. They've definitely put a step forward. Whether or not they'll be able to put forward any more rounds at this stage, if it ended 16-7, I think it would be a pretty fair representation of the game so far. But hey, let's not count Chiefs out. They put a spectacular CT half together so far, balancing their aggression and also their team play. You just need to make sure that aggression continues in the correct way throughout the round to make sure they're maximising their opportunities to get map control off the Legacy guys.
I might also just point out as well, I mean, you've said that towards the end of that first half, that's when Destiny really started to come alive. He's at the top of the scoreboard at the moment for Chiefs. He's got 17 frags. However, after 12 rounds, he only had 4 frags. So if my maths is correct, in the last, 9 rounds, he's actually got 13 kills. So 13 kills in 9 rounds. And he's really exploded onto the scene. And that's what we were begging for, wasn't it, in the first half? I know we were quite critical of what we were seeing from Chiefs, but it was because they were playing so passively, not really getting him involved. Much like some of their other power fraggers and what I dare say, hot and cold sort of players that are very much momentum-based, such as Burns, such as Chris, where once they're feeling comfortable and making their shots, then you'll see them really just elevate the game to another level entirely, but they didn't really put themselves in a position to do so.
Yeah, and I think off the back of this timeout here, they're going to, Legacy that is, they're going to want to do something aggressively onto B. I can see, in my mind, at least spending a lot of time with these guys recently in Singapore, that this is the way that their minds should be ticking over in terms of how they progress through their through their strategy rotations, and this should definitely be some sort of fast B hit purely because they haven't really tested it out yet. At this point in the game, when you're on terrorist and you just need a few more rounds, and you've got a lot of rounds to play with, more importantly, you're going to test all the different spots on the map and see what's weak and where you think you can manipulate. Even if it doesn't work out this round, you can get a gauge on what tendencies are used at that bomb site, and the best way of doing that is just a pretty quick rush, see what happens, and I think Legacy will head that way.
Well, it looks as though you've actually called it potentially out of spawn. No, they've actually gone the complete opposite, Pete. 4 members heading towards the exact opposite site, so you were close. 50-50 coin flip, but nonetheless, again, Destiny going so aggressive at the start, just trying to spot down towards T-spawn from as much as you can do from the A party area, but you can see here the passive play from Legacy, almost suspicious of that sort of play. Really like that read for them, as they now will make their way out, and there's no one to be seen as Destiny perhaps suspecting that it can't be A, surely not, as there's no one in that direction, at least there wasn't, but they are now creeping their way up. So they've gone slow and they've gone AP.
Well, I couldn't have been more wrong, could I? I couldn't have been more wrong.
No, you couldn't, Pete.
Which is...
Glad to see you the coach of these guys.
Well, it's just... Sometimes, when you get caught up in the heat of the moment, you might call something, and for me, maybe it's a wrong read here from Legacy. I think, personally, that if I was in that game, I would have called Rush B, and... if they don't win this round, I'll tell them this is the round you should have rushed B, and this is why I will improve. But
I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
I'm sure they'll really appreciate it cynically from the grandstands that I'll provide them with feedback on this one. But that's fine. Legacy now moving their way towards B, and Lightstep will flash out. Oh, lucky not to get picked off there, to be honest. Lucky not to lose his life, and they're going to make their way towards B. And the spots come out early, but. Will the terrorists, will the CTs actually make a read on this? It seems very, very pedestrian. Havoc just firing through the dome there of one of the CTs, and it will be Mungo picking up one, but APOC will trade on, and now the warning signs will be there for Chiefs. The trade's coming out here, Top Gun picking up Chris O'Well, Burnrook trading there, but will it be APOC opening up? It is. It's a 2 versus 2, Dexter and Destiny, but now it's a 1 versus 2. APOC will plant the bomb, and I think he'll get taken down by the short push here.
Well, actually, I think Destiny is biding his time a little bit, so he will definitely get that plan down, but what can he do now? I think his time is clearly limited in this world as Destiny now does step, and APOC just trying to perhaps throw those utility grenades that he did have to try and create some sort of magical escape path from that B bomb site, but wasn't to be. He was overwhelmed there, and really it was quite a strange attack there on that B site. The timing wasn't there, as we actually saw, like you said, Havoc was shooting out the monster now there, didn't quite connect on the first instance, but it was almost as though each member of Legacy was going one at a time to the side, and whilst the trade sort of favoured them in the sense that they found themselves in a 2 versus 2, you can't help but think that perhaps if they went in a little bit quicker and a little bit more supportive of each other, they might have been able to actually win out in that situation.
Yeah, some sort of fast B would have been appropriate, I think, is what you're trying to say. A little bit fast, a little bit more together, yep, that's what they needed, but as Dexter pushes up there onto the party area, it will be Chris O'Well. Look at this damage coming out here from Chris. It's just an eco, but he's turning it into a frag party there in that particular area of the map. It's just Offnu and Top Gun left over, and they will push their way onto A, try and get some kills, but nice defense there from Chris O'Well in the underpart. And this should lead to a pretty clean round here for Chiefs ESC.
Oh, Dexter spotting out the shadow there, but doesn't connect though, so Top Gun's actually found himself a free AWP, at least momentarily. In the end, Destiny picked up his 2 only kills for the round. I say only 2. That's still 40% of the team going down, and just confirms his position there at the top of the scoreboard. But Chiefs starting to have some life back in them again and looking a little bit more comfortable with their whereabouts as they do mount this comeback. They only trail by 5 rounds at the moment, and Dexter persisting with that AWP. I said at the halftime that I liked that. I thought that was critical to their team's chances in the second half, and he's been doing a good job of finding those early frags. It will be Chris actually pushing up with Dexter this time towards the A fountain, but I'm wondering whether Chris might go down the stairs or not, actually opting to fall back, it looks as though. So Chiefs almost caught in the middle. If we take a quick look at the overlays, they're not in the sights, but they're not really pushing either. A little bit indecisive, maybe?
A little bit indecisive. A little bit frustrated here, I think, Legacy at the moment. Especially since they had such a good first half. They probably would have wanted to have closed this game down by now, but Chiefs putting up a fair amount of resistance here, which is really good to see. Destiny in particular going absolutely crazy, and Chris O'Well, the Iceman, right there with him, putting a lot of playing onto the Legacy team, but now they're going to make their way into a B execution. This one should open up nicely. It does. Havoc picks up Mungo and immediately sort of duels back towards the monster pipe, and we'll get that smoke out. Will he find a section? He does. Destiny overcommitting there to the peak, and this is a brilliant B fake here coming in from Havoc. The one-man fake will come in, but now they've realised, and they're going to go back to B.
Yeah, the difficulty there was that Dexter actually with that AWP spotted out that rotation back towards the A site, so Legacy having to put on their running shoes and get back towards B and try and sell the double fake in this instance. They got burnt off guard, do get a second there off, do fantastic job from him, so they've opened up this site. I think perhaps the panic now starting to set as Chiefs recognise that they won't be able to win this round. I think Dexter there was almost put in a situation where he would have been calling the fact that it was a fake, seeing the fact that Legacy were rotating, and that would have meant that the members of Chiefs on that B site weren't sure whether they needed to hold at B or rotate back towards A, and in the end they were caught out of position there, often capitalising.
Yeah, but the key for me was how quickly they made the decision to go back to B. Once they spotted out Dexter, in unison, immediately, they turned around and bolted back to B, and that's why they were able to get the numbers advantage and also the surprise advantage onto the Chiefs players, because it was such a quick rotation. Had they have, I guess, used 10 or more seconds getting back towards that B site, the rotation could have come in from Chiefs and the round may have panned out differently, but Legacy putting their 15th round on the board and finally look to close this one out.
I agree with that sentiment, but can we also just take a moment quickly to acknowledge the massive job that Havoc did that round, finding those two opening frags? It wasn't as though perhaps he'd caught them off guard. He literally charged through the canal and backed himself to make those kills and did a fantastic job of almost single-handedly, like you said, selling that first fake. And as a result, Chiefs now find themselves down 6 map points, and Dexter does get some damage there with that tag onto Lightstep, and perhaps just confirming for Legacy the fact that Chiefs opting to play that aggressive CT style. They're holding back very, very deeply at the moment, and Destiny just lingering around with the smoke. Might have to back off now as that smoke does start to dissipate though.
Yeah, he will get back, and hopefully far enough, as he's getting chased down here halfway up long, and he will try and find a kill and does, so Destiny very lucky there to find the kill onto APOC, but there won't be a second kill here as Ofnu trades onto Destiny, so he well overextended there with no teammate. I think that was the key. They did a push earlier on in the half that was very successful, but that was with 2 men, himself and Chris O'Wow, and they're able to get well away before anything came out here. But Chris O'Wow cuts off that section of the map, picking up Havoc, and it's a very nice looking round here for Chiefs to actually get their 10th round on the board and force the money situation for Legacy to spiral kind of downwards.
Yeah, surprised that Havoc didn't have a teammate in tow. I mean, I know he's quite confident at the moment. He's feeling it after last round's effort, but as it was, that close range AWP duel when it was caught off guard, there was no one there to make that trade kill. And
look at the HPs.
Now, look at the HP, as you were saying, from Legacy there. They had 3 members, but all about sub 25, and in the end, they got taken down with relative ease. Lightstep now forced to back off. He was the one that took damage to start off this round, so as it is, he's now the man trying to clutch it out, but in a 1 versus 4, 22 points of health in 20 seconds, probably not going to bode well for him.
And I think that if I was the coach of Legacy, I'd say something along the lines of use the tempo that was working. It was that medium to fast style. That was the tempo that was working. Maybe attack the B bomb site. That certainly worked out for Havoc previously. And just make sure that you're doing everything you can to be successful where you know you've had success in the past. They've had difficulties taking A. They've had difficulties going slow. They've been getting picked off. So the logical progression here is for them to sort of chuck something pretty quick at B. But I would prefer it on a gun round where they had that firepower and Havoc can open up the round like he did. So Legacy
I love
here.
This hypothetical world we're in which potentially the coach of Legacy might be saying such a thing, but you're right, no, I do agree with that sentiment. They're actually just exploring the waters at the moment as they quite literally move through the big monster canal into the water and stand out the side, and often has been a frag, but that's about it. They are on an eco, so probably to be expected. They now find themselves losing their lives, and could actually get a bomb plan out of this, which would be wonderful given the sake that they hadn't invested too heavily into the round. And Lightstep does that, actually does a lot of damage, or actually not so, but we'll do now onto Destiny. But this is now a 1 versus 2, and if Chiefs weren't careful, they could have gone pear-shaped as Chris actually knifes Dexter for good measure, perhaps signalling the fact that he wasn't happy that Dexter took so long to hit that frag.
Yep, it will be Legacy picking up 3 kills there, but it doesn't really matter at this point in proceedings. I mean, you can see how much cash that the CTs have managed to accumulate at this point. They can easily buy 2 rounds in a row, and that should pretty much get them home as long as they don't completely capitulate here. In terms of their buy rounds, of course, now Legacy will be on the front foot here, buying these AKs, and the AWP will get onto Lightstep, not Havoc, so surprise here. And for me, it's a little bit strange, once again, Legacy going for the, I guess, the split pick approach where they're just biding their time and trying to get that opening kill. But look at the pressure here. It's come in once again. Chris has just annihilated APOC there with a 2-bullet headshot. And the Legacy boys are left reeling away from this situation. Ofnu will trade. Chris O'Wow should have learned from his lesson earlier and escaped very quickly with his teammate. But Destiny, on the other side of the things, has picked up 2 instant headshots. So this aggression is just panning out beautifully for Chiefs. Bird, how many times are you going to use that spot before you stop sitting there? He gets taken down again. Havoc picks him up for about the 3rd time in that spot. Pick a new line, bro. You're getting slammed. Legacy, 15-12. They are getting up and up there. Chiefs, great comeback here. Proving once again why they are a top contender to take out this tournament.
I don't understand though, from a legacy standpoint. I mean, everything that you're saying makes perfect sense, and perhaps it just might be an instance when you're in the heat of the moment that you don't have that objective view, because like you're saying, they're not mixing up, just like Chiefs got stuck in their ways in the first half. Legacy doing the same thing now. They are swimming towards B, but on an eco round, it's probably not the ideal situation for them that we were suggesting. So Mungo and Destiny doing a good job of using those utility grenades and weapons to keep it quite clean. Only APOC left alive in this instance, but perhaps only momentarily as he actually commits further towards that B side, and Mungo does get eyes on him, takes him down 15-13, but this is all too close now from a legacy perspective. They're looking at potentially maybe only one full force buy into this round. Like if they were to lose this round, you'd have to say that perhaps they might be finding themselves with some pistols or lesser utility. So this is probably their best chance now to close it out in regulation time. But can we please see something different for them? Some sort of aggression, or at least heading towards B with a little bit more gusto to start off the round. And looks as though that's not to be, as 4 members making their way slowly towards a played round, which we've seen a few too many times so far this half.
Yeah, definitely not a huge fan of what they're doing at the moment on their T side, but nevertheless, we can never really gauge the mindset. They could be trying to iron out creases in their A take, so they could be using this as practice, but they're leaving it very, very late on in the piece. I understood that early, but now they just need to really knuckle down and win one of these rounds, and they're not going to do it by giving away meaningless picks at the start of the round. They need to do it by banding up together and overwhelming the Chiefs players. Yeah,
I think what we're seeing here from Legacy is that there's obviously 2 different routes you can take when your opponent's going aggressive. You can either try and wait and get the picks off when they go aggressive, or you can go towards the other side with aggression of your own and try and capitalize off the weaker defense. At the moment, Legacy are doing the former. You actually saw them holding in T-spawn. They're almost convinced in their own minds that Chiefs were going to come strolling around that corner towards T-spawn momentarily, but we could see that wasn't the case, but it just plays into Chiefs' hands now as they bought so much time for themselves. Only 50 seconds left on the clock, and whilst Legacy might be making some movements towards B and mid now, they still have so much utility Chiefs to defend with, given the fact that they didn't have to spend it very early on.
Yeah, but I do love this from Legacy. They're finally using the short angle here, but the call will come in from Chiefs that they're probably going to come towards B, and Destiny's making his way back towards the site. 30 seconds left to go now. They do pride themselves on these late round executions, but this one's going to really have to work. APOC opens up onto Dexter, and now Chiefs are left reeling out of position. Mungo does pick up Offnu though, so this is going to be interesting. APOC picks up a second, Havoc picks up one as well, so this could be crumbling here for the CTs, but Chriso manages to spam APOC through the wall with a headshot. It's a 2 versus 1. It's going to be Top Gun. It's going to be Chriso. Wow. The 2 Icemen for their teams battling off into 1 versus 1 for the map, or potentially for overtime. Top Gun moves around the bomb site. He's in excellent position. He spots it out. He does. He gets it. Top Gun wins that duel. He's on the highway to the danger zone. He's picked up the headshot. He's made it work. 16-13. Legacy close it out. Too close for comfort, PK. But what a comeback by Chiefs. And we were quite disparaging early about Chiefs' chances, but lo and behold, they came back, and what a comeback it was.
I think we had all the reason to.